This is another video where I'm just going to talk about a poem that I found on the Poetry Foundation site. A poem I haven't read, and just go through it. This one, Grass, Joyce Sidman. I have not even heard of her before this. I'm sorry, Joyce Sidman. Haven't heard of you. So when I look at this, when I come to it, I have to get past my own hang-ups already. I just, like I said, I randomly picked this one. This is centered. This is one of my hang-ups, I think. As a poet, I like to place words on a page very specifically and break the lines very much on purpose. So I don't like to see centered because it feels like the person just let the word process, or let the centering itself do the action of the lines. That bothers me. So as a reader, we come to poems with things, so you have to get past them sometimes to read them. Also, I look at this one and I see I grow, I drink, I eat, I run. This is before I've read it. I haven't read this one. I see I sprout, so it feels very much like it's going to be about the I just as much as it is about the grass. So let's just read through it. I grow in places others can't. Very simple language. It already feels a little bit like Carl Sandburg, that kind of simplicity of the fog. I'm taking it, personifying it. Where wind is high and water scant, where wind, water, lots of the W sounds here. Wind is high, where wind is high and water scant. Pretty regular meter there, where wind is high and water scant, doing I-ams. I drink the rain, I eat the sun. This is what grass does. It feels like we're not talking completely about grass, though, like people in the city as it is or something. Before the prairie winds, I run. Yeah, the grass does that. This is kind of a different, is this a prairie grass, which is a very different grass, I think, than like sidewalk grass. I have to think how to perceive of that. I see, I sprout, I grow, I creep. And in the ice and snow I sleep. I feel like this is just as much about grass as it is about people. See, I sprout, I grow, I creep. This repetition here feels very childlike. It's like something out of a child's poem. That simple repetition that helps you remember it, but also like a child speaks, very short and choppy while they're learning to get the hang of things. On steep or veld or pompous dry, beneath the grand enormous sky, like wide variety, the pompous, the steep, geographically wide. We have the prairies some earlier. Beneath the grand enormous sky, I make my humble bladed bed. Wow, that's a nice, definite repetition of the same sounds, but that staccato that you're getting with the strong stresses there is a nice sound there. And where there's level ground, you have these sight rhymes coming in there. Level ground. And this is very much like a Midwestern kind of thing. I feel like the grass makes its bed, where there's level ground, which is very much like a Midwestern concept of the prairie grass as it is, this concept of being where you can spread out in space, but also the enormous variety of it. I spread. It's this constant sense of spreading. The spreading is thrown over to the left margin and playing around with the centering there. It's almost as if it's a reverse title, I feel like, to grass. It's a play, grass, I spread at the end. I like the line off to the side at the end, although I don't like the centering for this one. I think it would have worked better thrown out in lines, but that's just me on it. The language is really simple on this one. It does feel kind of like a child's piece, like a very present piece. You don't have to get stuck in the ideas. You can just flow along with it and see the wild diversity of the grasses all over the world, but also the kind of the Midwestern prairie grass stretching to the sun and spreading. Fun little piece. I think, like always, it's just walking through a piece makes me appreciate, a new poet.